My name is Darcy and I study a Bachelor of Commerce and Finance, and today I'm here with Lindsay Zwart, Chief Executive Director of One. Lindsay, how are you today?
Great, thank you. Thanks for having me.
So Lindsay, my first question for you today is, what did you study at university and what was your first working role?
So I studied a Bachelor of Applied Sciences. My first working role actually was a lecturer at a university, and I lectured routing and switching, so networking and firewalls and lots of engineering stuff. Yeah.
Now I understand you worked in Seattle at Microsoft, so how has working for large corporations overseas enhanced your skill set?
Yeah, so it's funny, I've always worked for multinationals. So I spent 10 years at IBM and 13 years at Microsoft. And I love the complexity and scale of large corporates, but also it gives you the opportunity to move around and do lots of different roles and learn and grow. And so I think from the US perspective, one of the key things I learnt there was scale. I mean, you work in the business, so I looked after Azure for the US market, a $44 billion business and 6,000 people across the country. And you have to continually land with clarity your strategy, your message, where you're going and your objectives. And it's so much easier to do it here in New Zealand, whereas in the US, it's just large, you know? Yeah.
Following on from your overseas experience, what advice can you give graduates in respect to staying domestically or vying for international positions?
Oh, yeah. Parents everywhere will hate me. I think we should all go and travel overseas and work. I mean, I've grew up in South Africa, I worked in the UK, I've worked in the US, I've worked here. So nothing beats international experience. It just gives you a different perspective of everything. And, the people in the UK and the US, they love New Zealanders. So one, they love our accents. Two, we have the ability to really look more broadly than at a single role. We're able to multitask, we're able to stretch out and do a lot more than traditional roles in the US have enabled us to do. And so we're a lot more moldable and adaptable, because when you work in a role in New Zealand, it's not just one thing you have to do 5 or 6 things. Whereas in the US, because they're so big, you just have a job that does one thing. So when us Kiwis come in, they see us as being able to be flexible and adaptable and do lots of different things. And so I think they love having us. I think it gives us great global experience that we can then bring back home. And I just think the world's your oyster, where can you go next? And what's your next opportunity? Yeah. For sure.
So as Chief Enterprise Director of One, what does your role involve?
So if you think about the telecommunications business that we have, you have B2B, so your business customers, and you have your consumer customers. So I look after all of our B2B customers, so 30 handsets, 30 phones and above. So think all large government agency, banking, corporates. So they sit within my portfolio, and I look after the ICT products, the sales, the service, the care, and the management of all of the services we provide to them.
Busy.
Yeah.
And my last question, I understand you have 2 daughters, and I can imagine your role as Chief Enterprise Director would require a lot of your time. How do you manage your work-life balance?
It's a good question, and people often ask me, how do I get the balance with all the work and then making sure I spend time with my family? And I think the key thing to remember is that the company will continue to give you work until you say, I've got enough work, because there's always an endless amount of supply of work. And I think the important thing is to have the relationship with your manager where you're able to say, here are the 20 things I've got, how do I prioritize? Which things are more important to you than other things? And be really clear on the timeframes that you need to deliver those outcomes or those requirements by. And then I think the other important thing is to know when to turn off So when to focus on your family and your friends versus when to just continue working. I don't know if you saw that recent Bill Gates speech that he did. Yeah, and he talks about how he used to sit and look at people's cars in the car parks and, like register who was leaving early and not working on weekends, and he regrets the time he didn't take off, right? So, I'm the one that uses all of my holiday. I'm always using all of my holiday. And these people at work who work for me, they've got like all this vacation time and they haven't used it. And I said, it's not healthy. Use your vacation time. Go and lie on the beach, recharge your brain, spend time with your family, and then come back into work. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for coming along today, Lindsay. I appreciate all your feedback and we wish you all the best and safe travels back home.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me.